Good afternoon, everyone. So this is the second Student Transition and Elevation Partnership, or STEP, and Young Professionals Meet, organized by the IEEE Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, Philippines section under the Young Professionals, Republic of the Philippines, in partnership with IEEE Mapua University Student Branch. Okay, so I think our next speaker is already prepared. So allow me to share back my screen. Okay, for our next speaker, he is the current chair of the IEEE Young Professionals Affinity Group of the IEEE Bangladesh section. He currently works as an assistant professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, EEE, at Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, or BUET. He completed his Bachelor of Science and Master of Science in Electrical and Electronic Engineering from the same university, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. And he completed his Doctor of Philosophy from the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering in Purdue University. He also has experience in working with experimental and numerical problems of nanophotonics, and his current research interest is photonic nanobiosensor, photonic neuromorphic computing, computer architecture. He also enjoys teaching, mentoring, and helping students to succeed in their career. Today, he will be discussing the importance of networking. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you the chair of the IEEE Young Professionals Bangladesh section, Dr. Sajid Choudhury.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Christian, for giving me this opportunity to share my talk. And I'm actually really impressed with the dedication and the discipline where you are, to the minute, you are maintaining time and conducting the program. It's congratulations to you. We don't see that very often, especially in virtual conferences. And I would like to thank
Yeah.
Dr. Arjun for mentioning his talk about the importance of networking and how YP can help in networking. I think that would be very relevant with my talk, where I would be talking about the importance of networking. And Dr. Randley, I really enjoyed his talk regarding the current pandemic situation. I think the STEP program that YP Philippine is organizing, the theme, coping with the new normal, we have to get used to the current situation and adopt as well. So before I just delve into my talk, I think Christian gave a nice introduction about me. I'm not going to go into details. I also had some volunteering opportunities. So I was the chair of the IEEE BUET student branch, where I'm currently a faculty member. And right now I am the chair of the Young Professionals Bangladesh. I just wanted to introduce the IEEE Bangladesh section at a glance. So we had a huge exponential membership growth from 2014 up until now, and our section chair is still trying to maintain that growth. So which we are enthusiastically trying to help her. We are one of the top 5 countries with student members, and we organized two international events already this year. So this is the 10 Sim 2020, the flagship conference of Region 10, and YP, we had a dedicated track there, and we had the Young Professional Meetup very recently as a part of the International COVID Congress, where we had participants from about 28 different countries. And we won the 2018 MGA Outstanding Section Award. So these are some of our upcoming events. For just the 3 of them are just the next week. So we have our weekly Meet the Young Professional series that we are meeting every week or every twice a week to meet senior young professionals who were once part of the Bangladesh section and then moved abroad to network with them. And we also have our STEP event virtually that is happening on the 5th of September. So all of the events that we do in the IEEE YP Bangladesh, our main theme is the networking part. And today I'm just going to be focusing on the importance of networking in the early career. So we would be first starting with what is networking, why we network, who we network with, and how to network. So firstly, before we start with what is networking, let me talk a little bit about what is not networking. Networking is definitely not just the exchange of information with others. So some people think that you just talk and you just deliver your information. That is not networking. You're just delivering your message to others. It is not about asking for favors. I think some people they just think that, okay, I know this guy, so better he could give me some favor. It's not about that. It's definitely not about just self promotion. So you just don't push your name card and you just don't talk about yourself. You need to effectively network with the other people. And it's not just simply adding someone in Facebook, LinkedIn, or following someone in Twitter. I think in young generation right now, we have this tendency. So if you have a professor in class, you just add him in Facebook thinking that, okay, this is just networking. This is definitely not networking. So what networking is, it is about establishing and nurturing a long-term, mutually beneficial relationship with the people that you meet. So there is two key words here. Firstly, it's a long-term thing. And secondly, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So Lady Elena G. Levine, she had a definition for this. So networking is a spectrum of activities which begins with a first interaction, aims for a mutually beneficial partnership, involves the follow-up correspondence and actions that provides value to each party, and continues lifelong. So these are the steps of networking. So you have a first interaction, then the aim would be to get a mutually beneficial partnership, and it has to be have a follow-up to continue the effective network. So who do you network with? Firstly, as a young professional, you have a certain field that you're working on currently, and there are forerunners in your field who are more accomplished. This can be your professors, your boss. If you're an entrepreneur, some successful entrepreneur, you need to network with them to exchange ideas with them. You need to have your own role models who are people with exemplary accomplishment. So if you're in a research field, this could be the most highly cited professor of your research or a Nobel laureate. If you're in the industry, this could be once again the business leaders or industry leaders who would be able to guide you in your career. You need to network with the thought leaders. So these are the smart people who makes you think differently. So there are certain peoples, when you interact with them, they can give you ideas, they can give you new perspectives about the problems that you are solving. And then these are the kinds of people you definitely need to network with. There are informants, people who would let you know about the state of the art. So typically, if you're in the industry, and you need to interact or network with the people of academia, because they are doing the research and they always study about the state of the art. And I think it's very important to have a effective networking between industry and academia to leverage the benefits of both sides. Academia can give us the cutting edge information that is happening in the research field. Industry could give a practical aspect or practical knowledge about what is actually important, what is actually useful. And this kind of networking could be mutually very beneficial. And finally, this is for the students. You need to network with your peers. So who's your classmate today, or who's in your class today, would be the tomorrow's business leader, tomorrow's entrepreneur, or tomorrow's government official. So if you have this network and if you nurture this network, that would be tremendously beneficial for you in your later career. So why network? So there are certain benefits of networking, such as you can exchange fresh ideas with another person. Secondly, it makes you more visible. So sometimes, especially for students, when you are currently in the university, you have an identity that you're part of the university, or you're a student of MIT. When you graduate from that, you need to network with others to make yourself more visible. So you could change your job, or you could go to a new switch careers. It's always useful to increase your network and make yourself more visible. You could get new opportunities through networking, and you could influence things positively. So if you can network, especially for as a young professional, you don't sometimes have the access to the policymakers of your company, of your country. But if you could network with the right person and convey the right information, you could essentially propagate that information to a policymaker who could change the things for the better. So for particularly for the earlier career, there are certain very important networking benefits that I'm going to be talking about. So firstly, it is the art of getting recommended. So if you're network with your former teachers, your supervisors, colleagues, it's very important when you're applying for a new job to get a good recommendation. Or even if you decide to go to graduate school after graduating, you need at least 3 letter of recommendation for the graduate school to accept you. So sometimes as an academic myself, I face this problem. So I have probably taught a student, then suddenly after 2 years, he would come to me and say that, oh, professor, I need a recommendation letter. So it's not possible for me to remember every student of my class. But if that student interacted with me before, if that student tried to network with me before, probably I would remember him more, and then I could write a more stronger recommendation letter with my personal experience. Secondly, it's landing jobs. So there is a saying that it's not what you know that gets you, it's what you know that gets you in the room, but it's who you know that would get you a seat in the table. So it's important to network with, especially in the people that are working in a current industry. And then sometimes the hiring managers, they have hundreds of CVs, and they probably are in a deadline to hire someone. So it's always beneficial if you know someone, and if you could talk to them, they could fast track you for an interview. So this is particularly useful if you're based on my experience in my graduate school. They always recommend that you personally network with your people who work in the company that were previously from your university. If you could maintain the connection, or if you could make the network, that would definitely make it easier for you to get an interview. Also, with networking, you could meet diverse people, and with diverse people, there comes diverse ideas. So it also enhances our own creative avenues, or helps us learn to new skills. So this exchange of idea also gives us a creativity in problem solving that would tremendously help in your early career. Also, if you want to solve interdisciplinary problems, so this is for identifying and solving problems of different disciplines. It is very important to network with people outside your immediate peer group. So this solving for interdisciplinary problems, we actually did an event on networking between engineers and biologists, and we brought them together. And there are certain problems that the biologists have, and then if you look at it in terms of your engineering, or particularly electrical engineering eyes, it might be that you already have a very easy solution to that problem. And there are certain research fields that tremendously benefit if you solve a particular problem by interacting and networking with different types of people, or different disciplines of people. And finally, the influencing policies and decision making as a early career. So if you're formulating an idea or plan, you can always then pass that information to someone who's in a decision making stage, and then you could influence the decision making of your particular organization. Next, we talk about how to network. So there are 3 steps that we discussed. Firstly is connecting, second is networking, and finally there is the follow-up. So there is three symbols here. So connecting is first you have to establish the connection or meet the right people. So there are certain opportunities for connect. So there are conferences, technical talks, industry talks, or professional society talks. So there are certain different professional societies where you could be a member and do proper networking. And I was members of most of these associations. But for IEEE, it brings us a huge opportunity. Since it's the largest professional organization in the world, there is a chance that you could meet a diverse set of people and people with diverse set of skills and network with them. So that's why even as students, there is a huge gap. When they graduate, they don't feel the inclination to renew their student membership, renew their membership of IEEE. I think it is very important, especially more important in your professional career or your during your early career, to be a member of a professional society rather than a student. When you're a student, you have your student clubs and everything. When you're a professional, you could be a part of a certain company and you could change your job. But IEEE is like a professional home to you. So it's very important that you stay as a IEEE member, and then you connect to different people through. It's not just being the member. You have to go to conferences, attend technical talks, and network with the right people to help you in your career. So also IEEE Young Professional Bangladesh, we talked a little bit about our networking opportunities. So we are organizing Meet the YP series every week once. We had the interface of engineering and biology workshop, and we have our own YP activities that help our graduates to network. So with the previously, you would be able to network with the Philippine YP people, but with the new coping with the new reality comes with new opportunities. So now, right now, you could network with people even outside your specific geographic region, and then you could attend any of our events, which are free to attend at any time. So now, for networking, the second step, we have to have a clear goal in mind. So suppose you go to a particular event. So for physical events, it's easier to meet different people. For virtual events, sometimes it's easier just to connect with the speaker. So you have to have a measurable goal for your networking. So a good starting goal is to connect with at least 3 people, just 3, by getting their contact information in the networking event and following up with them in 24 hours after the event. So I just had this logo. This is the old logo, or in 2014, the logo of YP that was there. So as you can see, the YP logo also, it had 3 colors and 3 different people. So they're joining together and networking. So this would be your goal of networking with someone and then connecting with them. Also, you have to meaningfully engage with people at a networking event. Don't just randomly give your business card to 50 people, or just collect business cards from 50 other people, and then you can't remember anything about them. Just try to network meaningfully with 3 people, and then you follow up with them and then build up the connection. So eventually, when you go to enough conferences, you would build up your network gradually. Also, to connect with people, this is very important if you're trying to network with someone forerunner in your field. So, excuse me, it is important to go through an elevator pitch. So elevator pitch is a concept that, suppose you have an elevator and there is this busy executive or business leader inside the elevator. So you have his attention inside the elevator. You just then pitch your idea while the elevator is moving to the other floor, typically under 2 minutes, and between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. And then once the elevator hits the particular floor, by the time it hits the particular floor, you convince the business executive that you have this great idea and you set a deal. So this is the art of elevator pitch. You need to concisely able to talk about yourself, and then you need to have a speech ready. So if someone says that, okay, tell me about yourself, so that you have a very short answer of 30 seconds, you can network and then talk about a little bit about yourself. There are certain effective people skills that you also need to learn. This is from Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. So these tips would definitely help you to connect with people properly. So firstly, you have to be genuinely interested in other people. So if you're just shallow, or if you just have a hidden agenda in mind and just trying to meet a person, it's very easy to identify that from your body language. And you have to be genuinely interested in the other people and to make this lasting friendship. Nextly, you have to smile. So happiness is sometimes dependent on the inner attitude. So if you go to any of the resilience or mindfulness courses, they would teach you that. So it's very important to have a friendly attitude with the people that you meet. You need to remember a person's name. So it's if you think about it, that our name is the first identity or first self property that we have after our birth, and this is the most cherished possession that we have. So you need to remember the name and try to network with them for that. You have to be a good listener, and you can be a good conversationalist, or you can have a engaging conversation with a person if you're a good listener. And you have to talk in the terms of the other person's interest. If you're just talking about, okay, I need this, I need that, this wouldn't cut it. So it has to be a mutually beneficial thing. And you have to make the other person feel more important and do it sincerely. So you have to treat the other person the way that you want to be treated. So it's also very important to network outside your own peer group. So sometimes when you go to a big event or big conference, it's very easy to just network with your own set of people or your own friends. It's always important to go outside or step outside your comfort zone and then meet with other people. So you remember, your peers are your competitors. You need to diversify your idea and get new perspective of problem solving. So you need to also learn the art of follow-up. So follow-up is you need to do before you build up a real relationship based on trust. You need to connect or contact your the people regularly. You need to add value to them. You need to focus on them, and you would get only what you want after you help the other people what they want. So only when you enough help the person. So for academia, it's easier. You give them good research output, or you give them good project idea, you collaborate them in research papers. So then you can build the connection, and then you can ask something for a return, suppose a job reference. So there is also an effective follow-up email that's very important. So when you are sending a follow-up email, it's important to first determine an objective. So you need to determine why you're following up with that person, or why you need to network with them. So you need to shortlist what is needed. So if it's information, or if you need a meeting with the person, if you need to catch up with him, or if you need to just send a thank you. So next, you need to open with the context. Sometimes if you're networking with someone who's a professor who meets 200 other students every year, you need to remind him how you met. Or if you're in a conference, you meet 200 people, you need to give a context that we met last week at this event, or I was inspired you after you spoke at this event. Our friend suggested that we meet, or last time we speak out about this thing, or I'm reaching out about this thing. Also, you need to clearly state why you are emailing, and usually you have to do it in the first three sentence of the email. That's a rule of thumb that I follow. So sometimes if students they tend to be polite and send a huge email of like 2 pages or something, and then when a professor receives it, it's he has to go through the every single detail to know exactly what the student is wanting. So you have to just say that I want this, or I want to know more about you. I want to invite you to this, or as I discussed, this is the information you need. So clearly state your purpose. You need to craft a subject line properly, and do it short. And then you need to send the follow-up email. And there are certain arts. So within 24 hours, you need to say a thank you note. Within 1 to 2 weeks, you can follow up on a meeting request, or every 3 months, if it's a very important contact, you can send a something that if anything has changed, or you can send, if it's your professor, that professor, I have this article that you think is important. Maybe you can give a feedback, or you can read that. So to summarize, we talked about why network, who to network with, and how to network. And there are certain further readings that you could do, is how to win friends and influence people. I quoted some things from here. There is the Cheeky Scientist radio, and also there is this book called Networking for Nerds by Alenia G. Levine. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much for again for giving me this opportunity. And if you want to network with me, I gave the contact information here. You can reach me out at LinkedIn, and you can reach me out in Twitter, or you can also email me. I'll give the email address in the chat box after this. And please do connect with us in our YouTube channel and our Facebook page and our website. So thank you so much.
All right. So thank you so much for that wonderful talk, Dr. Sajid. And again, on behalf of the IEEE Young Professionals Philippines, we'd like to thank you for gracing our invitation. And yes, thanks for sharing the best practices of IEEE Bangladesh, and the importance of networking, of course. And of course, the benefits of networking, who to network with, especially the opportunities. We can utilize the conferences, the technical events, and the professional events that IEEE organizes. Okay, especially I'd like to. It's a good pointer that you shared about this elevator pitch, which I also learned. Yeah, so that's a good thing, especially for our graduating students, and those who are in their early career. Yes, you can use that elevator pitch to network. Okay, and yeah, so thank you so much, Dr. Sajid. And again, for our participants, if you have questions, you can chat using our group chat in this Zoom application.